long 2 days. I know you folks have heard a lot about Teams phones. So we'll try to reference most of the sessions which I've already shared a lot of info on Teams phones, and we'll also talk about few things new. First of all, thank you for joining us. Quick intro. My name is Vinay. I work as a product manager on Microsoft Teams phone devices. I also have my colleague.
Hi, I'm Ashish Gupta. I work as a senior PM in Teams calling, focusing on desktop interface.
So today we were just thinking, what do we discuss in terms of what do you want to share in terms of Teams phones? Because there've been so many sessions, so many in-detail sessions which have happened. So we'll keep it pretty high level. So what we'll talk about is we'll talk about different personas. We'll talk about admin scenarios, we'll talk about information worker scenarios, we'll also talk about frontline worker scenarios, we'll talk about things which have been shipped recently, and talk about a lot of new explorations as well, which we have been sort of considering, would love to get your feedback as well. So we'll run through these different sections which we have, and at the end, we'll also have Q&A, and we'll be around even after the session if you have any questions so we can answer them. So with that, let's kick this off. So we'll talk about the admin scenarios first. So starting off with Teams phone devices. So in the last 6 to 8 months, we have spent considerable amount of time investing in improving on the performance on these devices. Secondly, we have also been trying to make user experience of these devices simpler. And third is trying to make deployment easier. So from an admin point of view, there are a bunch of enhancements which will be coming soon. So you as admins will have the option of enforcing your users to set the phone lock pin from a security point of view. Second is you will have the option of say disabling call quality survey for your users if they're dealing with a lot of calls, so they don't have to fill in that survey again and again. We understand that's something the users may be annoyed with. And thirdly, you will be able to enable call forwarding options specifically on the home screen of the phone device, so it's easier for the users to set up call forwarding as they walk out for lunch or head for a weekend. And then lastly, we are trying to simplify device management as well for these admins. So you will have capabilities like partial configuration profiles available for desk phones. So today, when you push settings, you are forced to sort of configure all the settings and have them pushed to the devices. But we are looking at scenarios where you can only push maybe a handful of settings to these devices. And then lastly, you will have the ability to sort of cancel a scheduled update, and when we are pushing these updates, the app updates to these phone devices, it's already robust enough to make sure it doesn't disrupt and checks for the idle state of the phone devices, but we'll be adding more checks to make sure that updates are pushed only when the phone devices are idle. So these are some basic improvements we are making. I'll also talk about the big thing which will be coming soon is remote phone device contact management. I know this has been asked for quite a lot of time now. So you might be sort of admins managing phone devices in multiple sites, and you can't go into each of these sites physically, have the contacts like emergency contacts, medical contacts, IT help desk contacts added physically. So you will be able to do that directly from Teams Admin Center. So I'll show you a quick demo of what we have in preview currently. So you will be able to select a bunch of devices, click on Manage Contacts. You can search for a contact internally, or you can go ahead and actually upload a CSV. So you can select a CSV which has a list of contacts. You can upload it. In the CSV file, you can enter some basic fields like phone number, first name, email, etc. And once you sort of go ahead and hit on save, the experience on your right is what you see, where we'll have a new section called company contacts, which will show up, and this will not be sort of editable, as in the end users won't be able to delete or add into this category so that no one can really mess with it. So we are starting with the preview for common area phones, and eventually we'll sort of extend it to user phones as well. And there is exploration currently in progress to sort of bring it for Teams Desktop and say the other clients as well. So that's something just wanted to call out. Next, we'll talk about extensibility. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, as admins, today when you go in Admin Center, you can add apps for Teams meetings, VoIP calling, channels, there are message extensions. But one thing you all noticed is there are no apps in PSTN calls. So with app extensibility right now, I said exploration because we are still exploring how to bring apps in PSTN calls. Why they have not been there, just some historical context is PSTN calls doesn't have chat, and apps have been hardly dependent on chat, so we are trying to make it work with PSTN calls as well. In the first wave, what you'll see is line of business apps like CRM, like Dynamics, Salesforce, or anyone who's interested to bring an app. The other thing it will also unblock is the out-of-the-box copilots that are coming, right? Copilot for service, sales. So imagine an agent who picks a call on Q's app, either can use a CRM app, like up to you, or can literally reference a Copilot for service, which will use any plugin to any CRM, so that the app remains during the call lifecycle. Like I know there have been very good explanations around screen pop that you can go in calling policy, but it's like pretty hardbound, right? Like you can only define one URL and that's it. It launches for every single call. But with this extensibility, we hope it will unblock like bringing multiple apps with context, and share back the context directly within the call to those apps as well. So this is something we're working on, not in preview, not anytime soon, but hopefully when we speak next time, there'll be something more I'll be able to speak about. Shared calling, I think there have been some amazing sessions yesterday on it. I'll not talk about any of these. You know how to set it up, you know where it's effective, where to use, but I'll at least talk about what will happen next there. So today you can define separate shared calling. It will work. You can make emergency call. You can make a regular call. But what is missing right now from our side is an end user experience. Like when you assign a shared calling number to someone, the dial pad lights up, but there's nothing below the dial pad. When someone makes an outbound call, we do not convey that, hey, it's an on behalf of shared calling number call. So there'll be some enhancements for this end user who will use shared calling. The end-to-end way of how it enables, how it works remains the same. It's just on the UI front, we'll do a better job of communicating, saying just like you call on behalf of delegation, you'll start seeing something lighting up saying I'm calling on behalf using a shared line number. People understand saying there are limitations to it as well, that if you make a call, emergency call, you will have a number assigned to you. So all those things want to make it more transparent to the end user who uses shared calling. So that will come next. Quickly jumping on to the next persona, executives and assistants. Now, again, some really amazing sessions that deep dive into delegation, what we do around that. So this is my first slide. I think a lot of demos have been given that. So we refreshed the UI for call delegation, both for desktop and devices. Now it's a tab-based model where delegators, basically what we call executives, shows as tabs. We support two more new things. One is ability to control who gets to resume a call held by anyone on the line, and ability to join active call. Join active call is basically barge. I think limits have been clearly explained. We are still staying with the limit of saying you can have up to 25 delegates or 25 managers. Barge should work for all. It's not like just first level barge. There have been some asks around it, so I'll speak for that. I think what shipped has been working. But what is missing here is once a delegator enables their line to be shared line, there's no way for the delegator to lock that call or go in a privacy mode where today if I enable my executive assistants to barge in, they will have visibility of every single call I take on the line. And as a delegator, I have no control over stopping them. Hey guys, it's a private confidential call. Please don't barge. Rest all calls are fine. So that will be the next thing I'll be working on when it comes to boss delegation, that giving that way that even if you have shared line enables, you should be able to quickly log the call. Once you're done with it, you're back to normal. Delegation works as usual. So that next is something that we'll do. But it's a shift feature. Barge and everything should work fine. Now coming to this, so shared call history has been in preview. It's already in tab. our roadmap says it ships in the next 2 weeks, so hopefully we do meet that promise and ship this in the next 2 weeks. So till date, what is happening in boss delegation is we only show personal history, basically calls you have made or you have received using the delegation line. We have got multiple design change requests on this saying, hey guys, as a delegator, I do not know which calls my delegate just picked or answered. And same for a delegate saying, hey, my boss just told me he took a call, now wants me to call back. I do not know. So with shared call history, what will happen is everything that has happened on the line will start showing up on each historical view. And I will caveat this cleanly by saying no personal calls will show up in shared history because we have got a couple of comments post we released that message in the post saying, hey guys, will you capture when I make call as myself? No. So if delegates uses their own lines, it will remain on their personal call window. It's just if you use the shared line, all the calls will show up. Now apart from showing the history, like let me take this example. So this is line for Bet Davis. We are saying a call came from Kiko Tanaka. The second delegate was Aaron, and Aaron answered the call. So the rich call history timeline will start showing incoming answered by Aaron. Apart from it, it will start showing events as well. When I say events, the events will be like, okay, who barged in the call? At what point of time they barged in? If you put it on hold, who resumed it? If you transferred a call on the line, was it transferred successfully? Whom it was transferred to? So basically, the full trail of whatever has happened throughout this history for shared line will come part of this feature. Right now, it will ship only for desktop and web and should be followed soon by devices team and mobile like iOS and Android. We are striving to a point that all clients should match all the features. I think we recently have not done a good job around matching all the features, especially for shared lines, because today, let's say Barge, we ship with desktop, phone devices had it, but if you go look at iOS and Android, you'll still come back saying, hey guys, why can't I Barge on iOS and Android? So that's something we're trying to do, match capabilities across all clients. Next, now you might have seen this snapshot yesterday. Credit to Michael. He explained it beautifully in terms of what kind of relationships we are supporting in delegation. The first one he explained is, hey, I'm a boss, I'm going on vacation, 1:1, I'll assign all the permissions to my delegate to manage my calls. Second was this one where there are 2-3 CEOs and they have one delegate managing there. So it's like multiple bosses, but one delegate. The third was 1:n, where there is one CEO, but they have 10 delegates working for them. What was missing so far is this sales example where Carol works in sales and Bob also works in sales. They both want to help out each other saying, hey, if a call comes to me, and if I do not pick it, forward to my delegate Bob. Bob says, hey, if a call comes to me, if I don't pick it, forward it to my delegate Carol. Till date, we have not supported it. We block on Teams client for individuals to be delegates of each other. Basically, it's called circular delegation. So right now, we will be going in preview very soon with this. Initially, we are targeting only a select set of customers to make sure what we have in plan actually works. Because the point you say circular delegation, we want to make sure the UI scales up to a point that even if you bring up to 25 delegates going circular in the mix, it should work. We are not saying, like Michael said, B2B, but we'll make it a point that it should be NS to N. So if it's like me, Michael, Vinay, all three of us wants to share line amongst each other, all of us should be able to do it. So industry term for this is shared line groups. Take it as the first step from Microsoft Teams Phone. Shared line groups as a concept, I'm not saying this is equivalent to that. This is circular delegation. When we come to shared line groups, it will solve itself. Like shared line groups has much more features when you look at compete. So this is something that should come in very soon. It will inherit every single feature today that we support for delegation, be it barge, be it resume, be it looking at the ongoing call window. So all of that should work. Private line, I think very nicely discussed, demoed as well. Just want to say, yeah, it works. There are a few limitations with private line as well, that it's inbound only, single geography, and it bypasses all the forwarding rules. I think that was it meant to do. Like as an executive, I can have a second line which directly comes to me only bypassing my delegates. But I think we have been told there are limitations, there have been bugs people have found. Team is striving to fix it all. The UI experience is there, like the notification will tell you it's a private call, the history will tag it with a private call. But I'll talk about the limitations, so like what's next in terms of solving for outbound calling and making it multi-geography. So One call out here is private line right now is again desktop only. It will come to devices very soon. So we do want to make sure it goes to all the clients. Next up, I've called it exploration because right now there's nothing concrete. You'll not see anything on the roadmap, so don't ask me when will this happen. But now I want to go in so when we say multi-line, in Microsoft terms, it's simply multi-number assignment to a single user. So today you can only assign one phone number to a Teams user. The first incarnation was private line, where you are able to assign a second phone number. But it, as I said, it has its own limitations saying the second phone number will be inbound only. So with multi-line, the few things that are listed like here that was for sure happening, I'll talk about these two as well. So the first thing we are promising is the multi-line will be multi-geography. So I can have, I'm not coding a number, it will be somewhere between 6 to 10 numbers per user. So let's take 6 as a number. So I'll be able to get 6 phone numbers from different geographies, whichever geographies Microsoft will come and support. I'm hoping all the geographies where current numbers are available, but we'll have more details about it later. So you'll be able to allocate numbers from multiple geographies and multiple operators as well. So that's been also one push we have been told saying, hey, it should not be just one operator. I should be able to fall back to a different operator as well. So that will work. It will support all of inbound calling, outbound calling. As a regular call you are doing, you will still have the concept of primary line, but all the secondary lines will start supporting inbound calls and outbound calls. Caller IDs will be available. In the calls app, you'll start seeing, we'll paint it in a way that you will know which calls are meant for which line. The voicemail inbox will be same, but at least the inbox will be able to differentiate saying, hey, this call was meant for my German line or this call was meant for my Indian line. Like, it will differentiate which line the user intended to connect with. Now coming to limitations. So what's happening here is it's a big investment from Microsoft, right? So we are like, okay, how do we scope it in a way that we do ship this capability so that we follow up private line with something that gets quickly adopted. So this is we are still working with, therefore I've written about TBD. In terms of call routing, in general, if someone asks you, yeah, give call routing for every single line. If I have 6 lines, I should be able to configure call settings and forwarding for each of this. What might happen initially is, we'll come in and say, hey guys, call routing is only available for your primary line. All the lines, if you don't answer, will go to voicemail. Right after that, we'll fast follow with saying, we'll start supporting basic call settings like, hey, you should be able to forward to a cell phone. You should be able to forward to voicemail. If right now I'm working in US time zone, I should be able to switch off all other lines going to voicemail. So that should gradually come in. Call routing, we are still thinking what is the minimum we can deliver. And advanced capabilities for sure initially like delegation call groups will remain with primary line. And eventually as we go through phases, we'll bring a full-blown multi-line experience where you will see routing, call delegation, everything supported per number. And when I speak for per number, I'll bring this concept back as well when I discuss external routing. This is one of the recent routing features we released. So yeah, so that's it on multi-line.
I just have a quick question. How many are looking forward to multi-line on phones and?
Okay, there's interest. So investments are going at the right place. So quickly touching upon this. So this we recently released. So before this, what was happening is we had single entry point for writing. Any call that comes in, be it a Teams call, be it a PSTN call, everything was getting routed the same way. So we got feedback saying, guys, at times PSTN becomes a nuisance. We are getting a lot of spam call. Is there a way we can still take Teams internal calls and move PSTN calls to voicemail or to my delegates, because they can take my PSTN calls while as an executive, I'll keep on taking my Teams calls. So we started thinking about how do you want to support this capability where we are bifurcating PSTN and VoIP. Initially, this is the first iteration of this feature. I have got a lot of feedback on this. So what happens is, as an admin, first it's off by default. So that I do encourage, if there are customers you're working with, to enable it from policy, because we wanted it to be opt-in based. So you go in, you go to calling policy and say enable inbound routing for PSTN calls. This toggle will show up. It will show up off as default. It will say redirect external phone calls. When you switch on the toggle, we are giving 2 options: redirect to voicemail, redirect as per my unanswered target. So redirect to voicemail has been well accepted, but what has happened is redirect to unanswered target, we are reusing the same thing that's happening for VoIP calls. So we have not differentiated. So let's say your redirect to unanswered is to my delegates. So if the VoIP call is unanswered, it will also go to delegates. In the PSTN, here it's immediate forwarding. Like the PSTN call comes in, it will immediately go to your delegates. So the feedback we have been getting for this is, hey guys, we want a complete bifurcation, saying PSTN has its own delegates, call groups, Teams internal calls has its own routing world. Our take is, yeah, eventually we'll get to it, but it's a big investment on our services to bifurcate this entire routing when it comes to internal versus PSTN. The way it has been developed, they were tightly tied together. But with multi-line, as I just said, we are moving to settings per phone number. So you will start seeing that this feature gets advantage of that when we start moving into settings per phone number. So I do see a world, not now, but in long term, where this will at least sit as a full-blown tab in itself, saying, hey, for your PSTN numbers, you can configure any amount of settings you want. You don't have to rely on the same unanswered that you're using for internal calls. So that's it for external routing and the way admin has set up. Now Vinay will take over and talk about what are we doing in frontline workers.
So frontline workers, right? So you might have sort of desk phones, mobile phones deployed for your frontline workers in, say, retail stores or retail banking, or you could have these devices deployed for your front desk users. So we'll talk about what are the different capabilities available from a Teams phone perspective for these different scenarios, which include Teams mobile as well as Teams desk phones. So the first thing I want to talk about is something we shipped late last year, is support for shared device license on Android mobile phones. So you could have a bunch of, say, associates within a retail store walking around with their Zebra mobile phones, and they use it as a shared device where they walk into the store, pick up the device, use it for calling, and then drop it, hand it over to the next person or the next associate who will be coming in. So with shared device license, which is an $8 SKU license, you will get all the basic calling capabilities as well as walkie-talkie capabilities on your Teams Android phone mobile experience. So I'll play a quick demo of the scenario as well as how it sort of benefits the frontline workers. So yeah, that's something which is currently available, something you can try out. It's an $8 SKU, mainly for shared device scenarios. So I'll also talk about how you can use both mobile phones as well as desk phones sort of together within a retail store scenario. So let's say you're Contoso retail store and you have a main phone number for the store, which is called customer service. and that phone number has to be shared between the other phones within the store, wherein let's say you have electronics department or bakery department who could have their own phone numbers as well, but you want to make sure that the calls which come in as part of the customer service number can be sort of seen by these other department phones, can be resumed, can be put on hold. So that capability can be achieved by a call delegation, and you can set this up. This is something which I think Michael was referring to yesterday as well, and then Ashish was talking about as well. So you will be able to set up call delegation for these retail scenarios in case of retail store, retail branches, or even in case of, say, front desk scenarios where you have a couple of front desk users who want to listen in to each other's calls or accept decline calls coming on each other's numbers. So you will be able to do that from Teams Admin Center, wherein, for example, you can select the main account, which is the customer service account, and go ahead and add a couple of delegates like electronics department or shift manager and give them permissions. And you can do this via partial as well. So this is currently available. So let's say you configure this on Teams Admin Center. Once you go into the desk phone device, so this is the experience you'll see. So on the main phone, which is the customer service phone, you will see a list of calls which are coming in as part of this main phone number. So you will also see the option to resume the calls. You will have the capability to barge into any of the calls which are being handled by any of the other departments. And once you go to the delegate phones, which are the other phones within different departments, they'll get a new option called shared lines right on the home screen menu, which they can click on, and they get to see who are the other delegates. Are they free, busy, their present status, and the same list of calls, so they can barge into it and sort of go ahead and accept decline calls if they wish to. So this is sort of an experience you can use within for your retail scenarios or even, say, front desk scenarios. So we wanted to take this one step further, and this is what we want to go ahead and enhance this to. We understand line keys and sidecars are used heavily in these different front desk scenarios or even retail scenarios. So we wanted to reduce the number of clicks it actually takes for these users, because we understand they don't want to click on two different menus, go in, and then actually get visibility off the line or even go ahead and transfer. So we will be supporting line key configuration both from an admin point of view via Teams Admin Center, and also from the phone device itself, where a user can actually go ahead and configure a specific position within the line key to point to a contact, and they can also configure it to point to a specific shared line. So once it's configured to a specific contact, you will be able to place one-click calls. You will also be able to do one-click transfers when you're part of an existing call. The second thing is, once you, say, have a shared line, similar to the scenario I just explained, where you actually have customer service, which is the main store number, and let's say you have a bunch of other delegates, like electronics department or shift manager. So you can actually configure this line key to point to a specific shared line, and you can get a quick visual off the line. So you will have the different LED states like blinking green, blinking red, solid red, to know the different states of different calls on this shared line. And you can go ahead and click that to get the shared line experience on the main screen, where you're seeing the line for customer service, and you get to see all the list of calls, and you can accept and decline. So you'll be able to get visibility off a line with just one click. In fact, you will get it right away with the LED states, and you will also be able to do sort of one-click call transfers or one-click calling through this experience. And we are also exploring to see if we can bring the line key approach to the main phone screen, but that's something we are actually considering. So this is something we are looking at to simplify the experience. And talking about contacts, we are also trying to see how we can simplify the experience for these users who deal with a whole bunch of contacts. So the first thing we want to do is provide the option for these users to reorder contacts so they can have someone at the top of the list versus someone at the end of the list. And second is I would say a missing functionality on phone devices today, where you can't actually go ahead and add a PSTN number as a contact on the phone devices, so you have to go do it in desktop or web. So that's a missing gap we'll be addressing as well. And like I mentioned earlier, so we've been trying to focus on simplifying deployment, making it easier for users to use, and also focusing on performance. So talking about ease of use, so there are a bunch of enhancements which are coming in as part of the desk phone experience. So we understand that these frontline workers will be dealing with a huge number of calls every day. So we'll be simplifying the call transfer experience, where now you'll be able to transfer calls with just 2 clicks. So on phones which have hard transfer buttons, you will be able to choose between the 2 different types of transfer through a short press, which will do a blind transfer, versus a long press, which will actually do a consult transfer. So you will be able to use the hotkeys to decide the type of transfer. And once you get to the transfer screen, you will actually be able to see the list of speed dials which are already populated. So you can just go ahead and transfer them instead of having to search for a contact every other time. So that's about quick transfer. Like I mentioned earlier, you as admins will be able to configure call forwarding on the home screen. So even on common area phones, wherein the users can set up the call forwarding directly from the home screen, the one you see at the bottom of the image in between there. So that's something we're also doing. And the last one is sort of providing an easier way for these users to send incoming calls directly to voicemail, so that they don't have to accept or decline the call. So that's again something which will be supported on phone devices. So most of these are focused on trying to reduce the number of clicks or make the experience for these users simpler on these phone devices. We're also working on allowing these users to handle multiple calls. Busy on Busy was existing capability which was missing on desk phones, which is what we'll go ahead and support. This basically allows you to decide how you want to handle the second incoming call. Do you want to just reject the second incoming call if you're already busy, or do you want to go ahead and send it to voicemail, for example? So that's also something which will be coming soon. And we'll provide a sort of a banner experience on the desk phones, where you can see all the list of calls and different banners to sort of get a quick look at what are the different calls you're dealing with, and you can say accept, resume, hold these multiple calls quickly. So that's something we'll also be supporting on these phone devices. With that, I think I'll hand it over to Ashish to talk about the hot topic.
So, Copilot, I think many conversations have happened. The first thing that happened with Teams Phone Copilot is just like meetings. All of us know about this now in all call types. I will highlight that, be it VoIP call, PSTN call, or an escalated call, Copilot will work. You will have intelligent recap. You will have Copilot answering the basic prompts. So initially when this was done, it was more like, hey, whatever is in meetings will work for Teams Phone as well. But right now we're talking about what next. So we have a very smart audience. So do give me feedback as well in terms of, are there scenarios in Teams Phone you believe Copilot can solve for better? I'll try to share where our thinking is going. And these are again explorations. And so first thing we are thinking of is, now when you talk about Teams Phone, we have call controls that are not available in meetings anywhere. When I say call controls, these are controls like call transfer, call consultant transfer, call park. So far, they have remained in a way that I take a call, I transfer to Vinay, I just hit the blind transfer button and that's it. Now it's his job to sort out what I have done part of my call. So now we are calling this modernizing our call controls. So with Copilot and so much intelligence available, and not just Copilot, you will see a mix of us coming up with our own intelligent context and some of Copilot as well, where if anyone, and I am speaking about IW workers, a call queue agent, anyone who picks up a call wants to use a call control. We've taken an example of call transfer here, where when you're transferring, you'll see a small snippet of saying, hey, here is the summary of what you've just talked about. You can edit, or you can choose to not even send it over. So those are the things that will happen with Copilot, that we are revising the way we think about call controls. So the calls will now hopefully be transferred with more context. Consult transfer, you will see a full-blown redesign and revision of how do you consult and transfer. Because today we offer 2-3 modes, right? You can chat consult, you can call consult. Those are time-consuming operations. So you'll see a mode where the consulting becomes very easier. The person who is getting the call will already have some hints around what this call is about and will decide to pick it or not. I just took example of transfer because this is still in early stage. We're still thinking about it.
I think just one more thing I want to add here is like some of these capabilities will even come on phone devices. Like I'm sure many of us have been through like customer service calls where we call up one agent, give some info, and then the second agent asks us for the same set of questions over and over again. So even on say phone devices, we're trying to make sure the context is passed on so that they can actually go ahead and give a better customer experience. And there are some things we're exploring around those things as well.
Yeah. Next is, again, that's again straightforward. Today we have like this transcript being persistent. This will go away. Like in a lot of cases around financial industries, you don't want, even if you've used a Copilot, suppose the call is done, for the transcript to remain in your system. So this feature will help in a way that people who are talking on the call can use Copilot, but the point they're done will kill the transcript. So it's more based on temporary transcript, where people will be still be able to use Copilot during the call. And when you go back to call history, you'll not be able to see Copilot. So there are caveats to it. It's very specific to industries, but this will be a good add-on for some industries. Again, this is more of a compliance feature that will come for all call types meetings as well. Today, if I'm using Copilot, on the other side, if people are not, there's no announcement. Nobody knows there's a Copilot being used by the other person. So this is more like us informing to everyone, just like we do for recordings today. The announcement being made saying, hey, this call is getting recorded. Similarly, there'll be a very gentle, it's not blocking experience. It will be more like awareness, saying, hey, this Copilot being used. Very early, the entire banner, all these things are still being reviewed, so this might just fully change. But as a concept, you'll start seeing this showing up. We'll quickly move from Copilot and talk about B2C communication. So B2C, the first topic I'll talk about is click to call. I think the session before this as well, one click to call was talked about, very nice explanation was given. It is still not taken the uptick which we expected for click to call, because I believe it's a very powerful feature where it's the first time you can use ACS on your website to deploy a widget that can directly connect to Teams auto-attendant call queues at like one click. Earlier it was like you have to share your auto-attendant call queue phone number, someone has to call the phone number, you get connected. This is just the start of us entering into this concept of front door. Let me play this as well very quick. Basically, you open it up and it's a VoIP call where you have agents on the one side. So one click, you have agents on the other side. Right now it's pretty static, where it just offers you a call option, but it's just a start. Right now it's call. I think it will mature enough in a way that today ACS provides you a sample code to deploy this. So you can quickly use the sample code, customize it to the way you want, and put it on the website. I see it taking a path where it will get super easy, where you can just log into Teams Admin Center, say that, hey, connect me to ACS, select your call queue object ID there itself, one click, say, deploy this widget on my website and customize it. It will move in a way that even the sample code will not be required. Phase 2 will be more low code, no code, still far, but this capability that recently shipped. Now coming to QZap. I think a lot of sessions have happened. Everybody know what is coming in phase 1, what's coming in phase 2. I'll do a latest demo which I have for marketing, very quick demo in terms of, it might just show glimpses of how the app looks like, what's happening. So that was Q's app. Let me move. So it's in preview. I think there are a lot of customers trying it out, giving feedback. Team is focused on fixing all the bugs that have been reported. I hope the GA date that has been given on roadmap should meet. I think it looks to be on track. I'll try to cover quickly. I think we've discussed a lot about Q's app, and the demo is self-explanatory. Analytics. I remember a question that was made yesterday that when Microsoft says real-time stats, how real is it? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 2 minutes? Is it 5 seconds? I did call my developer and just asked him, dude, what's the latest? How is it working? So at least I got the answer that right now in preview, the real time is at most 5 seconds. I hope when you try it, you should be able to see it. And it's not like the refresh is 5 seconds. Whenever there's an update, it will instantly update. So it will update every second if there's an update. But if there's no update, it will try to do every 5 seconds. I hope it meets the promise and it is as real time as it's being promised. Then in-app manage, there are features like this which are landing in the second wave. So things like, let me talk about multiple batch. So what's happening is in preview, most of the experience I showed about agent experience, real-time stats, historical reporting, opt-in, seeing your calls, that's coming part of preview. There are features that are fast follow that will come in phase 2. Monitor Whisper, Barge, Takeover as a feature will come. In shared lines, you have seen we have supported Barge, but that was barging on a call. With queues, you'll see supervisors will be able to monitor, barge, or even take over that call. And Whisper is something, it's the first time that's happening, so even I'm excited about how Whisper will work. So this will come in phase 2. Talking about rich call history as well. So this, been multiple years for me in Microsoft, I've heard this asked constantly. Guys, where is the history for queues? Even for boss delegation, we never had like a clean history. Whenever you're working in a group, history is very important, knowing who is doing what part of your queues. The initial incarnation of queues, you will see personal history, same. There'll be shared voicemail, but the history will still be like the agents knowing what calls they have made and received. Fast follow, phase 2, you will start seeing shared call history in Q's app as well, where all the agents will have a view of what's happening. Has a missed call been triaged, responded? So the history experience will be much, much more powerful when it comes to Q's app compared to what I was showing in boss delegation. Boss delegation is still basic because you have one boss, couple of assistants working together. Here you have agents collaborating, so the history experience will be much richer, but again, this will be in phases as well. Q's app for phone devices. You want to talk about Vinay? Because so far, all the demos, all the discussion about Q's app has been that Q's app is on desktop and agent logs in and use it. But is that it? Like, is it only on desktop? So I want to let Vinay talk about a couple of scenarios where phone devices will also have some Q's app experience.
Yeah, so I think in terms of phone devices, we don't expect to go ahead and support a full-blown supervisor experience on these phone devices because the real estate is only so much. But what we have heard and seen from many customers also using is they use these phone devices to handle a lot of calls, incoming calls, as part of call queues. So that sort of made us think, do we really want to go ahead and support the Q's app experience on phone devices? So to start with, at this point, we are looking to explore options of supporting agent experiences, which will be a small subset of experiences which will be supported on desktop and web. In terms of agents, like for example, opting in, opting out of queues, seeing the call history, getting a quick view of all the calls as part of a call queue line, seeing who's opted in or who's opted out of a call queue as they start their day of work. So those are like some basic scenarios we are looking at. So I'll probably again pause for some feedback here to see if any of you have use cases for queues on desk phones. Okay, that's good to hear. I'd love to connect and hear about those use cases because this, like I said, this is still exploration. So we're trying to figure out what is that we really want to go ahead and build because we have only so much real estate available on desk phones to be realistic, and then see what we can do there. But yeah, so definitely like to connect more maybe right after this, or do you have questions? Yeah. Yeah, so could you maybe state a couple of use cases for folks who raise their hands around queues requirement for phone devices? I saw a few hands go up. If someone could share the use cases. Yep. Okay. And what is the sort of scenario where you actually go ahead and deploy? Like, is this like for like say a manufacturing facility, or is this like frontline worker scenarios or pure? Okay, got it. Okay, go ahead. Got it. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I think that gives us some validation. So yeah, we'll keep moving, and I think we'll stop again for Q and A.
We're nearly there. I like not a lot of time now. For SBA, there have been a couple of investments that have been made. When I say announced recently, this was all announced recently in Enterprise Connect. So all on the roadmap, versus India Post have been sent. The two tracks happen in general with SBA. One is investing in more capabilities. Two is increasing the token time, the high survivability token. There are still discussions. I will not quote the number in terms of where the token will go from 24 hours to 3 days, or even some customers are asking 7 days. So team is working on increasing that. I don't have a number for that, but that's work in progress. But transfers and forwards will now start working in SPA. That's been one of the asks the team wanted to fill. This should ship very soon. Next is a hard slide, but I kept it for the end because I do not want questions. It's SMS. Show the slide wherever we go. I don't have a date. If you, I can say the team is working on it. This still stands true. Calling plan, US and Canada. If this ships, rest all should just make it. But yeah, beyond that, even I don't have any information. I can just say team is committed to deliver it, and I know there are people actually working on this, so should make it. Coming soon. And yeah, that's it. And we would like to thank sponsors who made sure we keep here. All this happened. So thank you so much.
Thank you for accommodating the last minute session. Happy to take any questions. Go ahead.
So when you say disable, as in when I was showing, let's say in a transfer context, yeah, that will be optional. You will have full rights to even edit it. It will be a human edit. You can discard it. We do know not every context has to be passed, so it will remain optional.
The recording.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. In that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I do know is there will be capabilities where you can control in what scenarios Copilot is enabled and what scenarios Copilot will not be enabled. So you have that additional control which will be coming in. And there are a whole bunch of compliance, privacy scenarios which are being added from a Copilot point of view so that we can make sure we honor those compliance and privacy.
And it's not on
scenarios.
by default, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Michael. Yes, that's the thing. So I think it's coming in meeting schedule, right? Where you can literally say transcribe or record all my meetings. It gets auto started. The PM has a challenge. He's supposed to work on it and make sure that the agent, let's say an agent scenario, I will not remember to enable that transcript in every single call or every recording. Working on it to make sure there is. I think it will start from admin policy and then pass on to end user, pass as a setting, saying, do you want to enable transcription and recording for all your calls? Not part of the immediate roadmap, but it should come. Yes.
That I have to take back. I'm not
Yeah.
aware, but I do know there is a centralized policy for enabling Copilot recording
great question. That was the first thing we wanted to solve. The point we entered into multi-geography, because so what is happening is now today policies are tied to users, right? What will happen with this is policies will start getting tied to numbers. So you will be able to define multiple policies per number. Let's say I'm in US, the number emergency policies will be different compared to if it's, let's say, a 112 emergency number, it will be different. So we are decoupling dependency on users and it all tied to numbers. So making it compliant or emergency calling compliant was the number one starting point, saying if you enter multi-geography, I will support it. As you will see details, you will see it will be compliant across geographies. It will work. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's why I said I think they'll come up with a list of geographies and countries that will be supported. It will not be like across the world. Yeah, yeah. Yes. It's optional, right? You can just leave the call and the call still continues. So maybe I did not get your question. Yes. Yes. No, no, no. Yes, so how delegation barge works is in the concept of a conference. Initially, it starts as a P2P call. The point someone barges in, any first person barges in, it becomes a conference. And if it's a conference, until everyone leaves the call will remain available. So, yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yeah. It's a great feedback for Q's team, but I can tell you what's happening is they're not happening, but I can take that feedback. They're not working on any new routing methods if you want to, if you want that. Exact same, whatever presence based routing, serial routing will be the same. Hopefully when they release, you'll give feedback and team takes it. Yes. Yeah, right now there's no intelligence coming to post history. So yeah, I hope they add more routing methods, but not in scope even for the next wave two, which I know. Yes. Yeah, yeah. In your history there for the queues, if it's a voicemail and one agent listens to the voicemail, do the other agents know that that yes. voicemail was listened to? Yes. So at least even in preview this will happen. You will see shared voicemails part of preview, not even phase two. Shared history as a concept of phase two, but you will see thing called triaged, where if something comes in, it will say heard by someone who heard it. Same for missed calls as well. If let's say missed call comes to a queue, it will tell which agent has kind of triaged it. So they are going with the concept of triage, where you triage incoming entries. So I don't have the experience to show here, but I do know it will work. Yeah. Yes, sir. That's, I really personally want to get it done. So we are calling it time of day routing. 100% acknowledged that today everything is 24 hours when it comes to Teams. The first step will be you have Outlook office hours configured. We'll expose that in Teams, saying if you are in office hours, what routing to choose. Eventually, it will take shape where you will be easily able to edit those same office hours in Teams as well. Should happen. It's on the list. I just wanted to be prioritized. Queues app takes a lot of work. Agreed. Yes, it's a gap. Yes. Yeah. would say not in scope right now, but with the power model, the way team is going, I do see it happening soon because right now it's just on a third party website, that's the scope, but it will extend more. That widget, you should be able to take it anywhere, but not anytime
But
soon.
it also exists within the app, and if you
Yes,
change screens,
yes,
it will lose the
yes.
context.
Yeah, I think taking it to any app, I think with power model, these scenarios come into picture, and I haven't seen it even saying it will happen soon, but I can take that as a feedback to the team and say, hey, this is something that came as a scenario. Yes. Yeah.
So you basically mean any new phone which starts showing up within tag, you can assign a default. Yeah, so we have gotten that feedback multiple times. Nothing on the roadmap as yet for now, but that's something which is being tracked of backlog. I don't have a date on it yet, to be honest. Yes, there will probably be a UI. Again, I don't have a date, but there is a consideration to move uh, the configuration of IP phone policy from commandlets to UI, so you don't have to do it in two different places. There's a plan to merge things. So yeah, definitely part of the plan. Sorry, again, I don't have a date.
Last minute or two, you're done.
We have a couple of more minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Would Microsoft consider adding a feature where it would block calls that are identified as spam risk? As you know, there's a stir shaking issue in the U.S. and
Yes.
so forth, but I mean, obviously understand some of those may be legitimate calls, but would there be some sort of feature where you can automatically just block it and then validate it maybe with another Microsoft Copilot service or something
Yeah.
to that effect?
So there's a team that's trying to do full-blown response in spam. The first thing I think they're starting with the spam feedback loop, where within as a caller you can give feedback saying, hey, this was a spam identified. Block is initially not happening because the engine is not so powerful. You do not want to block. You have seen Microsoft number itself being blocked. So they want to make sure that the database is robust enough. They'll expose blocking as an optional capability, but I have not heard that there is confidence around just automatically blocking the calls. You'll hear more about spam investments in the talk because
Yeah.
it's been a topic. Everyone is aware that spam is spam. So
Yeah,
feedback loop might be the first feature, but there'll be more around blocking experiences.
yeah, I think there is something we're looking at in terms of spam screening. Uh,
So
but
that's
it
an
not,
intelligent call
yeah,
screener
yeah,
where a screener sits in the middle, which will try to identify, which is being done by, let's say, Google Assistant as well, where you can have a screener in the middle which asks, hey, what's the subject of call, or even try to potentially identify spam. It will not block the call. It will just tell on the contour saying, hey, I have screened it and I feel it's a potential spam. At the end, the caller takes it.
yeah.
But with an intelligent screener, I think it reduces the load that not every call will come to you. You'll get screening, you will have more information by the time it lands. Yeah. Yes.
Right. I think we are at time. Yeah. Thank you for patiently listening again. Thanks for your time.